hundreds of cheaters on chess.com. The first 5 episodes of this series examine some of the ways that you can beat a cheater. Some cheaters go too slow. Some cheaters do not use an engine at the beginning of games and blunder a piece. Some cheaters give up halfway through. One of the most demoralizing types of cheaters is what I call the Yoshi. If you've played Mario Kart, this feeling should not be foreign to you. You have retrieved numerous banana peels from boxes and left them on the track, which you then slip on later. You have found red shells, green shells, blue spiky shells that you don't remember being in the original Mario game. After winding your way through a tropical beach paradise, a wintry wonderland, or a canyon at sunset, you find yourself in first place and you prepare to celebrate. Yoshi comes up from behind you and smacks you in the face. And this is how a certain type of robot works. It adjusts its difficulty, it adjusts its performance to how you perform. And in the case of many chess robots, it adjusts its performance to how it expects you to perform. One way that it can set its expectations is by your chess rating. We will see one person, no, not a person, we will see one robot play against 3 different opponents. And despite being played weeks apart, the results were pretty different. One game that we'll look at is the game that the robot played against me. The second game is against a player rated 785. And the third game is against a player rated 1031. Now, in all 3 games, the robot, Steven242156, had the white pieces. I think you would call this a dynamic difficulty setting. This is a robot, much like the Yoshi, who aims to give you a glimpse of hope before crushing your dreams. Now, you'll notice some similarities in all these games. Our Yoshi comes out with the Italian. In this game, we've got the Philidor defense yet again. We have a very curious Queen E7 move. Not a good move. And white attacks the center. Now, if we move a little bit further ahead, they exchange bishops here. And oddly enough, he moves the knight to g5. The queen comes out and the queen comes there. We'll pause at that position. Back to the 1031 game, we have the h3 move, kicking the knight or demanding that he takes, and black plays queen to f6. And we have the game where I have the black pieces, where he once again plays the Italian, but I am playing a Sicilian. Now, he plays the knight g5 move again, which gives him 2 pretty good moves. He's putting pressure on this f pawn, and this pawn can be taken with the knight, as the king can't take back, and he will either win my rook or my queen, or he can check with the bishop, which, if I make an incredibly stupid move like that, he will simply have checkmate. Now, I play the obvious move. It's a defensive move, but it is also an uncovered attack on the knight. And yes, this is a blunder. It allows me to take the knight, but also note how similar the 3 games wound up. So now we have d3, and after takes, black brings the bishop out, which is a very obvious blunder, as white can take the pawn. So black just blundered a pawn, but white defends. Now the pawn is taken. Bishop takes with check, king takes, and we will revisit this game in a moment as black decides to kick the knight, and white responds by first kicking the queen. After knight e6 and knight d7, it seems perhaps black is unaware that they cannot castle queenside. So in this case, the knight controls this square. The king cannot castle through it. So after we get e3 from the Yoshi, and the queen moves once again, we have knight d2, which looked like a terrible blunder the first time I saw it, but after queen takes and castles, I understood. The idea is to bring the rook to this square, and it will defend this check. You'll be picking up a rook. You'll be threatening all sorts of nasty stuff. Even though we definitely get rook a to c1, black moves his queen out of the way, and he can afford to save his queen. And it means giving up his rook, but that knight move gave his king an escape square. It could be worse. Meanwhile, Big Glands here, our 1031 rated player, has found himself in a conundrum. With the black pieces, it's his move, and although he would love to castle, that runs into this move, which will simply win the rook. So black quite sensibly takes the knight. But now this also threatens to immediately pick up the rook. So now you're going to have to develop the knight. And he does, to his credit. But after check, takes, and the rook comes out, black has to play f6 here. He has to defend that pawn. He does not. White picks up a rook, and quite understandably, black probably thinks that most games at the 1000 rating level are not going to be decided by a 1 or even 2 pawn advantage, and he doesn't know that he's playing a Yoshi. Meanwhile, our 785 rated player has gotten into a more complicated game. He plays knight c5, playing awfully well. Definitely still losing, but even this move for 785, I think is very good. So white blunders a pawn, but to find that queen trade is nice. I mean, that's nice. Our 785 player is playing very well, and he starts the pawn storm. And now he checks. And now you might think to yourself, how can someone cheating in chess just blunder a rook? Again, this is a Yoshi. Another possible explanation for why he just outright blunders the rook is because his AI might be set to say that lower rated players cannot find backwards knight moves. And that would appear to be correct in this case. My game goes absolutely nothing like this. I'm up a piece, and I attack the queen. Now, queen h3 is an amazing move. Because once I take back, he opens up a double attack. And so a lot of players would just by habit move the knight back. But if they did so, they would be blundering the queen. So, very clever from the Yoshi here. But I do not fall for it. And he takes back, winning material back. That was the idea behind that queen h3 move. Kind of insane. Now, I develop to knight f6 while he plays f3. I defend. And as you see, the Yoshi loves to play moves like knight b5. He loves to move those knights out and threaten threaten these forks. And this would be a great move if I didn't get a turn. But I do, and I castle. And now he plays g3, which is just weird. But I would try to tell you what his plan was, but he doesn't have a plan. He's a robot. Any human being who is cheating at this point would not take back. That is the last move they would make. Anybody who is cheating is going to play a move like castles. It doesn't look nice, but now the knight is hanging. It's just going to have to move back. You're down a pawn. Okay. But he takes the knight. So now not only do I check, I win the rook. Now against the 1031 rated player, basically it's best move, 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 best move. Now it didn't say best move every time, and that's because the robot is going to troll black in this game. The robot is trolling black. If you think that robots do not troll you in chess, not true. They do. Best move. What is this? Best move? Blundering the pawn? Or is it? It's not. That's the reason that was the best move, is because if king takes, then you have that and you automatically get a queen. But he is going to continue trolling, and even though he can make a queen, he is going to now push these pawns. And we have eventually best move, 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 and so forth. Even giving up his queen. Yeah. This is, yeah. And giving up his rook. Just an absolute... a Yoshi moment. Meanwhile, Mori Mina, our 785 rated player, has gotten material even. And again, when you have a player like White who has been rapidly increasing rating points, you would expect that they would have pre-moves enabled. But they do not. At no point in the game does our Yoshi pre-move. Never. Never. And with no pre-moving, White is simply going to lose this one on time. But props to our 785 rated player. Very well done. And the ending of my game, he's definitely closed the gap a little bit. But with the black pieces, I am up a full rook. And I can now pin him, but I do not. I take a pawn, and that was an ill-advised decision. But after check and check... Oh, no, wait, I'm sorry. Checkmate. You see, I grew up playing Mario Kart, and I've lost to Yoshi many, many, many times. But the one good thing about that is that I've learned how to beat him.